I am a professor at Seoul National University. My major is on the inter-Korean relations and the North Korean studies. Uh, Currently, I am visiting scholar to George Washington University and also Berlin Freie University visiting scholar too. In Berlin Freie University, just a documentary visiting scholar. Yes. Today's title of my lecture is Whither the Korean Peninsula. I try to focus on the North Korean issues and North Korean security and nuclear problems. And another subject is the US policy towards North Korea. Today I'm staying in Washington, D.C. It's 10:21. So it's morning time. It's a very bright day. This is my 4 chapters of my class. First one is how to read North Korea. Second one is US policy towards North Korea. As you know, the Trump administration won the election, and in the transition period, Trump is preparing so much things. We can predict Trump's new policy towards North Korea based on the Trump's first term policy toward North Korea. And the third chapter, in third chapter, I want to talk about South Korea and Japan and Washington's approach to North Korea. 2 years ago, the three countries declared the Washington Declaration. It's about the extended deterrence issue. So if I have much time, I can explain it concretely. But today, I'm not sure how much I can speak about this Washington Declaration. Anyhow, the final chapter is about the future prospects and alternatives. In chapter 4, I want to talk about how to respond to North Korea's provocation or North Korea's actions. That's an introductory explanation of my lecture today. I think I want you all to answer these 3 questions after completing my lecture. First question is North Korea offensive state or is North Korea defensive state? It means how to read North Korea's action. That's very important because North Korea's action is very complicated. When we misread their actions, it can be a kind of a conflict. So it's very important to how to read North Korea's intention and its actions. And second answer is, I want you to answer is against what and against whom? North Korea act against what? And North Korea act against whom? Some cases North Korea give a statement. In cases it's towards South Korean people. In some cases it's toward White House bureaucrats. So we should differentiate between the 2 kinds of statements. That's very important. And third thing I want you to answer is how to read and respond to it. I talked already too much about how to read, but the important is how to respond to North Korea's action and provocations and its speech. That's very important. All 3 questions I want to hear from you after my lecture. Let's take a look at this slide. North Korea's action nowadays is shifted from the China-oriented approach to the Russia-North Korea combination. New alliance is emerging. As you know, Russia is in warfare. So 30 years ago, Russia and North Korea was in quarrelsome. So they dissolved each other's alliance in 1990. But last year, North Korea's Putin visited North Korea, and North Korea's Suryang, Kim Jong-un visited Russia. After that, the two countries made a new alliance treaty. A week ago, the two leaders accepted the alliance statement in its Congress. So we think China is basically defensive country in its military strategy. But as you know, Russia is a little bit very offensive country, especially in Africa and in Middle East. So we have a question, Russia-North Korean combination will lead to where to lead. That's the important context of right now North Korea's action. Second thing is, nowadays North Korea's weapon system is rapidly developed. As you know, this Professor Victor Cha, who is the Korea chair in the CSIS in Washington, D.C., he talked like this: North Korea's rapid weapons demonstrations at pretty fast clip. We cannot imagine North Korea had that kind of diverse missiles and diverse bombs and standardized nuclear bombs, etc. So it becomes more and more threatening countries. And third fact is how to read it. There's North Korea's position shift. Somebody thinks it can be regarded as A to AD. And some other people argues that North Korea is shifting to the revisionist state. As you know, A2AD is the anti-access and area denial. A2AD means. So anti-access and area denial means China defended its air and its sea in some territorial spaces. Whenever any country intrudes that area, China should retaliate automatically. That is the A2AD military strategy. The focus of the essence of A2AD means the capability to attack the air carriers. Then, if North Korea's military strategy is A2AD, then it means North Korea has the capability to strike against the US air carrier in the East Sea. That is a kind of explanation of North Korea's new military system, explanation of a new military system. And another alternative explanation and interpretation of North Korea's action is North Korea is becoming revisionist state. As you know, revisionist state is a breaking status quo country. And revisionist state means the country is becoming to from security seeker to power seeker. So revisionist state, if North Korea is a revisionist state, then North Korea is an offensive state. And in same token, if North Korea's strategy is A to AD, then North Korea's strategy is regarded as a defensive country. Which one is the right interpretation of North Korea's recent behavior? That's very important. Some experts argue that North Korea is a revisionist state because North Korea is accepting Russia's concept of escalate to de-escalate. As you know, escalate to de-escalate is Russia's nuclear policy against NATO. Putin is talking about Russia can use a nuclear bomb in order to deter the intrusion of NATO. That means they can use a nuclear bomb so they can escalate the Ukraine war in order to de-escalate, in order to deter NATO's intrusion. So that is the strategy, essence of the strategy, escalate to de-escalate. Currently, North Korea is talking about its policy is escalate to de-escalate. 6 or 7 years ago, North Korean diplomat told that North Korea is developing nuclear weapons in order to denuclearize Korean Peninsula. It's a very paradoxical statement, but it's based on the strategy of escalate to de-escalate. Anyhow, it means North Korea can use nuclear bombs in the Korean Peninsula in order to deter the US intrusion in the peninsular area. That is the escalate to de-escalate. If North Korea accepted this strategy, then North Korea is a revisionist state and its military is military strategy is offensive. And another kind of offensive strategy is called the gray zone conflict strategy. As you know, gray zone is in the cyber zone and the low intensity area. In this gray zone, every country uses a drone attack or covert action. That kind of behavior and military action can be utilized in the gray zone conflict. So when North Korea combine escalate to de-escalate and gray zone conflict strategy, then North Korea can make South Korea very, very turmoil situation. This year, North Korea abruptly to send the rubbish balloon, and they sent the drone to the presidential building in the Yongsan, Seoul. So somebody has concerns over North Korea's this kind of action. Even, as you know, North Korea dispatched its 15,000 soldiers to the Russian area. This kind of North Korea's action is very difficult to interpret. What is their intention? How to read their intention? That's very important issues. So 10 years ago, the Professor Victor Cha, as I told before, this guy, Victor Cha, wrote the book. The title of the book is The Impossible State. At that time, when he wrote this book, they he thought North Korea is a rogue state, North Korea is collapsing. So it's a very impossible state with a young leader. But after 10 years, many experts think North Korea cannot be collapsed, and they are breaking status quo. They try to be power seeker. That is the revisionist state. So in Korea, some authors wrote this book. The title of this book is The Revisionist State. And this book, you can find one of the authors is Kang Ho-jae and I myself. But we don't agree, we all not agree with the revisionist state. But North Korea has to be analyzed by this concept. That is the reason why we used the title of the revisionist state in this book. This is the ravish balloon. And as you know, North Korea dispatched its soldiers in this Kursk. But we have concerns. If North Korea moves to these areas, then it's a very offensive action. But if North Korea stays here and they fight against only in these areas to recover Russia's original territorial space, then it can be described as a defensive action. It's a very complicated situation. The capacity of North Korea's nuclear provocation. This is delivered by North Korean media. 1916, it's mirror ball style. 1917, it's a Jung-Chul style. It's a kind of hydrogen bombs. And 2 years ago, North Korea delivered these pictures. It's modularized, standardized small bomb, just a 50 centimeter and just a 1 meter long module bomb. And they released more than 20 pieces of a bomb here. It's a too small picture, but you can find through web surfing these bombs, picture of the bombs. Nowadays, we are estimating the number of North Korea's nuclear head. Somebody thinks every year North Korea can develop 18 bombs. Somebody thinks 12. And at least North Korea can develop 7 or 8 bombs every year. So we can predict by 2027, North Korea has almost 150 bombs, at least 100 bombs. That is very threatening capacity of North Korea. So we should not ignore North Korean situation. We should not neglect North Korea's new capabilities. 2017, North Korea detonated its sixth nuclear bomb. At that time, we estimated just 60 kiloton at first, but and the U.S. Army released it's the 17 times of the fifth nuclear test. Fifth test was 10 kiloton capacity, 10 kiloton level. Then if the 17 times of the 10 kiloton means 170 or 200 kiloton. So it is very big, very great capacity North Korea developed, and its capacity of a nuclear threat. But as you know, Biden administration ignored, and we called the Biden administration's North Korean policy as the strategic patience. It means in any cases North Korea provoke, we should not respond to North Korea's action. We should wait, and we should wait and see what will happen in North Korean regime. And we should falsify the sanctions regime through the UN Security Council. That is the essence of the strategic patience. It was developed in Obama era, but it was accepted again in Biden administration. So last month, North Korea released this picture. This picture is the highly enriched uranium facility. I heard Professor Kang Ho-jae counted all these pieces, but I cannot count it because I don't have good eyes. Anyhow, it means it's North Korea's capacity to develop nuclear bomb every year. So that is the Volcano 31, tactical nuclear bomb head. So they can use all these missiles, and this head, this Volcano 31 can be deployed, all these missiles. This is Bob Woodward. As you know, Bob Woodward is the Nixon, the reporter of the reporter who discovered the Nixon's lie. He wrote trilogy books. 2018 Fear, the title is Fear. 2020 title is Race, and the 2022 the title was Peril. In the trilogy, Bob Woodward wrote this kind of sentences. I can give you 1 minute. You should read this sentence. And can you explain how many pieces of their bomb North Korea had in 2017? There was a debate in Korean media. After this book was published, in Korean progressive media, Hankyoreh Shinmun reported that North Korea has 80 nuclear powers, nuclear weapons. But another conservative media reported that, according to Bob Woodward, US will attack North Korea with 18 nuclear weapons. Which interpretation is right, do you think? Somebody thinks include the use of 18 nuclear weapons is related this now attack. That means North Korea has 80 nuclear weapons. But 조선일보 interpreted this sentence. The US response is related to this, includes the use of 80 nuclear weapons sentence. That means US counterattack North Korea with 18 nuclear weapons. They debated through this different interpretation. But right after the next day, the debate disappeared because Hankyoreh Shinmun thought it's wrong. Their interpretation, that North Korea has 80 nuclear weapons is too much. So NIS, Korean KCIA, opposed the Hungarian's interpretation. But 조선일보 also didn't respond to any kind of news report about these things, these books, because according to Bible World, in some emergency case, U.S. will attack Korean Peninsula with 80 nuclear weapons. That it means our alliance, U.S. can bombing in the Pyongyang and in the all through the North Korean area. That it means South Korea can be bombed together. As a conservative media, 조선일보 cannot accept that kind of U.S. strategy. So that debate disappeared. But Bob Woodward's record is still in his book. So at that time, this moment was 2017, from July to September crisis period. And Bob Woodward talked in that period as the famous title of the book, The Gun of August. Have you ever read the book of The Guns of August? The book wrote about the First World War outset period. So the title of the book was The Guns of the August. So Bob Woodward described the 2017 situation by the book of the Guns of August. In fact, the U.S. really thought about the nuclear war in that period. So in sum, we can describe North Korea as a strategic state. North Korea want to be strategic state, so they think they are a nuclear power state, so they have a kind of power to make things in their beneficial way. And North Korea's another strategy is a security-insecurity paradox. By this paradigm, we can understand North Korea's action. Security-insecurity paradox means when somebody have a nuclear bomb, and when some country become nuclear power state, then it can deter total war situation. But the country try to intrude neighboring countries with conventional weapons. As you know, in between India and China and Pakistan and India, all the countries are the nuclear power state, so they does not go into the total war situation, but they always have quarrelsome in its borders with the ox, with the baseball bat. Like this, they quarrel each other with the bare hand. But they don't go into the total war situation. That means that is a kind of a paradox situation. The title is a security-insecurity paradox. So North Korea is make use of this paradox, and they think they are nuclear power. U.S. cannot go into the total war situation with them, so they can intrude through the drone plane and some kind of balloons. That is the security-insecurity paradox strategy of North Korea. And I already explained somebody thinks North Korea's action is offensive and somebody thinks North Korea's action is defensive. So it's a very complicated situation. So we should prepare for the North Korea's new strategies. As you know, ROK's response is two-kinded. One direction is integrated deterrence strategy. It's very technical based military strategy, and the three-axis strategy we call the kill chain and KAMD and KMPR. These three axes means whenever North Korea try to provoke against South Korea, then we strike North Korea in advance. It's a preemptive strike. So we call it kill chain. And this kill chain strategy includes the decapitation operation. It means we can strike and bombing Kim Jong-un's location. And second thing, when North Korea launched missiles, then we defense our area with the missile defense capabilities. And third thing, whenever we are hit by North Korean missiles, then we should respond with massive punishment and retaliation capability. That is the three axes of ROK's response against North Korea's provocation. So these two strategies is very conflicting concept, and the two countries always threatening each other's. So we are always, Korea is always in the tension of these two threatening strategies. Second part is the US policy towards North Korea. Biden administration's foreign policy stance is not just soft. Somebody thinks, in my youth, we thought U.S. Democrat is dovish and U.S. Republican is hawkish. But this kind of differentiation between the two parties has totally changed in U.S. Foreign policy context. In some cases, Democrat is more offensive and more hawkish. But the Republican is becoming isolationist. That it means that they looks like dovish. But in essence, they are not dovish, but their policy is changing from the hawkish to the dovish. That is the U.S.'s new context of the foreign policy stance. So, as you know, Biden administration's foreign policy stance was modernizing foreign policy tools and repairing relations with its allies. These two concepts means they try to modernize the foreign policy tools with military tools. It means they should invest in the military capacities. So massive government spending is invested in the foreign policy and military sectors, and repairing relations with its allies. It means repairing relations with its allies means that U.S. is extorting, exploiting its allies in the beneficial way of U.S. So Biden administration leaves no room for allies' ambiguity, especially Korea and Japan and Germany. Whenever Korea and whenever Japan try to play in the middle between the US and China, then US government and the Biden government gentlemen told that you are not on the same page with us. So it's very difficult. There's no room for allies to have any kind of autonomy in its foreign policy areas. That is the Biden administration's foreign policy stance. So it's not different. It will not be different with the Trump administration's foreign policy. In some cases, Trump's foreign policy is straightforward. They don't lie. They are blatantly exploiting allies. But the Biden administration's stance was the same. They look like dovish, but their action and their strategy is based on this kind of same strategy. So they call their foreign policy as the foreign policy for middle class. Biden's foreign policy for middle class is not different from MAGA. MAGA is the Make America Great Again. These are two Biden policy and Trump policy is based on the US first approaches, America first approaches. So, in the domestic policies, they have very different approaches, but in the foreign policies, I think they will not different. In some cases, Trump is a kind of try to have a realpolitics strategy. That means realpolitics means they are based more on the geopolitical and the power-based approaches to the global context. But the Biden and the Democratic approach is based on the value approach. That is the ultimate fundamental differences between the two parties' foreign policy philosophy, but dynamically, I think they will not be different. As you know, Trump won the election in popular vote and delegate vote. And Trump swept all the swing states, and Trump won presidential election and senator and congressman, all three election, Trump won. So Trump has a very massive power. So we can predict, that is the problem. Can we predict US policy towards North Korea? Somebody thinks Trump's second term, in his second term, Trump's North Korean policy will be different. Somebody thinks, and his character, his character will lead US policy towards North Korea into the new kind of negotiation stages. Nobody knows in this day, but after inauguration, I think Trump will say something about his policy towards North Korea. If you want to study Trump's first term North Korean policy, you should look these three books. In fact, these are four books. This is the Bob Woodward trilogy, but here the first book is the Fear, and second book is the Rage. And these two books, Woodward introduced official letters between the two leaders 27 official letter was exchanged between Trump and Kim Jong-un. And all these contents of the letters during 2 years is introduced these two books, Fear and 28 released Fear, 2020 released Rage. And as you know, John Bolton wrote this book, The Room Where It Happened. And this book, chapter 4, treats the Singapore negotiations, and chapter 11 treats the Hanoi negotiations. He described the situation very concretely. If you want to know the two negotiation context and situation, we should read the John Bolton's book. And this year, President Moon Jae-in wrote his memoir. That's From Border to the Center. But the problem is that Moon Jae-in's book is just in Korean. I don't know it is translated. But anyhow, in this book, Moon Jae-in explained so much things about the negotiations and context of the environment of the foreign policy situation and the inter-Korean relations and the inter-Korean official letters and his estimation of Trump and his thought of the nuclear bombs. So much things we can find in these three books. And after reading these three books, maybe I think you can think, what will Trump do? Let's go back to Biden's approach. Biden administration criticized the Obama administration's nuclear policy as a none for none, nothing for nothing. It means Biden administration criticized Obama. At that time, Biden was the vice president to Obama administration, but it means it self-criticized its policy. At that time, Obama didn't do anything. That's the meaning of the none for none. Always Obama argues that North Korea should act first. That is Obama's approach. It's not my argument, it's the Jake Sullivan's argument and explanation of Obama administration. And he evaluated Trump's nuclear policy. He described Trump's approach as all for all, everything for everything. So we call it big deal with a CBID slogan. So Jake Sullivan criticized the two US government, Obama government as none for none, Trump government as all for all. And then they told, Jake Sullivan argued that Biden's approach is something in the middle between these two approaches. But we think, what is the something in the middle? That's not the policy name. It's just an opportunistic approach. It can be an opportunistic approach. Somebody at that time, this evaluation was released by the Washington Post April 30 article in 2021. But everybody thought they tried not to do anything. It's like Obama's stance. In fact, the Biden administration is the only country which didn't have any kind of a negotiation with North Korea since 1990. The only country. So Daniel Drezner, the famous sanction expert and the professor, criticized the U.S. position. U.S. always think sanction is omnipotent. So United States needs to remind the world that it is more than a one-trick pony. One-trick pony means only sanction country. Sanction is the only way to suppress other countries. That kind of a thought was criticized severely by the Professor Daniel Drezner's. This is the article of the United States of Sanctions, Daniel Drezner. This professor wrote the book, The Sanctions Paradox. It is a very famous book on the sanction regime. So he was frustrated by the Biden's approach. So nowadays, Washington's atmosphere about North Korea is very dark, and North Korea formula in Washington policy circle is like this. They have for priority number one foreign policy agenda, it's the Ukraine. So we should ignore North Korea's provocations. Second thing, Kim Jong-un doesn't have any intention to negotiate with Biden administration because North Korea is waiting for returning Trump, because Kim Jong-un liked Trump and they have a kind of a friendship. So Kim Jong-un is waiting for Trump's returning. Third thing, still sanction is effective, and we should ask and force China to make sanction against North Korea. Even in the situation of U.S.-China confrontation, U.S. asked and U.S. forces forced China to cooperate in the sanctions regime. But as you know, this year, the Russia broke the UN sanctions regime. And as you know, South Korea itself has a military strategy of decapitation and three-axis with the kill chain strategy. Then we can deter North Korea. Combine all these formula leads to the strategic patience too. That is the Biden administration's. That's the reason why Biden administration returned to the strategic patience too. And third chapter, I want to talk about the Washington Declaration and extended deterrence, but it's the South Korea's strategy, so I want to skip these chapters. I just want to talk about this sanctions regime. As you know, every sanction regime has 4 goals and 4 purposes. First one is deterrence, and second one is compliance. Third one is interdiction, and the fourth one is how to prepare for the unintended consequences. First one, how effectively we are deter another kind of a provocation. But in 4 years, North Korea has evolved the nuclear weapons and evolved some missiles capability. We could not deter it. So it means one of the sanction regime is failing in this deterrence goal. And second thing, compel. The U.S. sanction is punishing North Korean leaders and North Korean people as protesting against the leadership. And is there leadership cleavages in the elite class? All these 3 questions, we don't have positive answers. So we are failing in compliance too. And so the thing, we are interdicting in the areas, North Korea's territorial areas. It means in the air, in the sea, we should interdict North Korea's ships. But it's very difficult to interdict North Korea's exchange commodities in the air, in the sea. So we are failing in interdiction too. And what is the most important thing is we are not prepared to unintended consequences. It's a kind of unintended escalation situation. In that case, all Peninsula is in the conflict situation. So all these situations, given the consideration of these 4 pillars, our sanctions regime is not succeeding. In case North Korea is collapsing, North Korea economy is in the crisis, then our sanctions regime will succeed. But there is no signal of North Korea's economy is collapsing. That is the problem of our sanction regimes. The future prospect and our alternative chapter, I want to just talk about power through peace through power. Somebody thinks peace through power is the most important dictum. As you know, Trump administration's policy is peace through power. And the South Korean government accepted that kind of new strategy, peace through power. But as you know, Yuan Galtung wrote, peace by peaceful means is the very important in peace studies. So, which alternative is beneficial to South Korea's future and the East Asian's context? I don't know which way will be accepted, will be chosen by the new government in new context. The last thing is in US, a kind of a new thinking is emerging. So some bureaucrats and some experts is talking about arms control deals between North Korea and USA. The thing is that arms control can be regarded as the status quo approach, and it means we should accept North Korea as the nuclear power state. But these experts argue that arms control deal can be combined with the denuclearization process. So how to creatively combine arms control with the denuclearization goal? That is the new government's new strategy. This picture described 2018 Singapore. Right before the Singapore meeting in White House, the North Korean envoy delivered its official letter to President Trump. This is the 2019 situation. The same guy, his name is Kim Jung-Chul, delivered the official letter to Trump administration. In this case, he was politely with two hands. But in this picture, he delivered just one hand. These two pictures indicate the future situation. After this picture, Singapore statement agreed. After this picture, Hanoi meeting was collapsed. What do you think about these two pictures? It is about the Jung-Chul's character. It's about the Trump's character. Many things we should think over these by these two pictures. In some cases, South Korea is a very in very difficult situation. As you know, this picture is about Dresden as the symbol of the Second World War. 10 years ago, South Korean government, President Park Geun-hye gave a Dresden speech here in Dresden. But as you know, Dresden is the symbol of the kneeling down of Hitler. North Korea knows that simple situations. Park Geun-hye had a very good intention at that time, but the symbolic meaning of the Dresden made North Korean guys upset by its location. So we should very considerate way. We should prepare all the futures and this kind of new signals and very considerate ways. As was in the case of the picture, some leaders' perspective, some leaders' emotions will lead to different results. It is very difficult and it is very delicate situation of the diplomacy. That is my my concluding remarks. Yeah, I want to stop here. Yes. Thank you.